My name's John Mehn. I'm a missionary with Baptist General Conference here in Japan. And the reason I'm a missionary is when I was in college, I learned that people without Christ is one of the most important things that I could deal with. And so I felt called by God to become a missionary. And it took me 11 years to get to the mission field, but that was a very big lesson for me.
I'm Elaine Mehn, and I just want to tell you a little bit of why I'm in Japan. When I was still single, I had a missionary come and stay with me. She was getting ready to go to South America. And just spending that little bit of time with her, God used that to begin to talk to me about going overseas as a missionary. I had no idea it would be Japan at that point. I did meet John when he was in seminary, and part of his seminary training was to do an internship. So we spent 3 months in the Philippines in the summer, had a wonderful time, led Bible studies, led people to the Lord, just a tremendous time of ministry. And then we had 3 days in Japan on our way back to the States. There was absolutely nothing familiar in Japan to me. I went from a small town in Iowa, and Tokyo is a huge city. I couldn't read anything. I couldn't understand anything. Nothing was familiar to me. And yet I had a very deep sense that I was home. We got back to the States and continued the application process to come to Japan.
I have 4 major responsibilities as a missionary. I direct Church Planting Institute, which is an interdenominational, interagency ministry that works with over 120 different agencies, training and supporting church planters all over the country. We've trained over 2,000 people in the last 15 years and hope to train thousands more. Also, I'm doing research into church multiplication. I'm also the head of our mission, which is the Baptist General Conference. So if you want to become a missionary, I'd be glad to have you. And also I work with our denomination, the Rengo, and doing leadership development. I do preaching and help out churches in various ways in terms of ministry.
My current ministry is that I do a lot of getting to know the neighbor ladies and the people in the community with the hope of being able to lead them to the Lord. I teach Western cooking classes and needlepoint class and craft classes. I teach Bible studies in English because they find English is easier to study the Bible in. At Christmas time, then I also have a Christmas tea, and I invite all of the ladies who are in any of my classes to come. And we have a time of sharing what Christmas really is. A lot of Japanese think Christmas is Santa Claus's birthday. So it's a great opportunity to share the truth of Christ. And then we sing Christmas carols, and then we have a feast and eat and just have a wonderful time of getting to know each other and enjoying being together.
The reason I came to Japan as a missionary is we visited here in 1981 after a very successful mission tour in the Philippines. And I was struck by how few churches there were in Japan and how someone needed to come and start more churches. And so that's why I've been in Japan.
One of the saddest things, though, is that a lot of missionaries are retiring who came right after World War II, and not very many new ones are coming. That in a country that has less than 1%, less than half of 1% who are Christians, the missionary force is shrinking rather than growing. And the number of pastors in Japan is also shrinking because many of the pastors became Christians right after World War II. And so they're retiring now as well.
I had one person ask me, why is Japan such an important mission field as compared to places like Darfur and other places in the world that are very needy in terms of poverty? And I said, well, it's very simple. people don't know Jesus here. And people who are poor don't know Jesus, and people who are rich don't know Jesus. And when it gets to heaven, it's not going to matter whether you're poor or rich. It's whether you know Jesus that's important. Japan is often not viewed as a mission field because it's so industrialized and so developed and so cutting edge in terms of technology. But less than 1/2 of Japanese know Christ. Actually, there are less than 8,000 churches in this country for over 127 million people, and that means there's one church for 16,000 people. There is no way any church, no matter what size, can reach that amount of people.
The missionary language school that we went to, of all the people that were in the school when we were there, we're still in Japan and one other couple. All the rest have left. And so the need is huge and the workers are few and fewer.
We have to have more missionaries who will come here and enable the church to start more churches so they can reach more people. And so if you're interested in working in an area that's really needy, it's Japan. It's one of the largest unreached people groups in the world, even larger unreached people group in some Muslim countries. But it's also very hard work here, not much fruit. But we know that we are building the base for the future ministry that God will eventually bless, that will lead thousands and thousands, even millions of Japanese to Christ. So we pray for Japan, that God would send us more laborers into this very needy harvest field. When we came to Japan 22 years ago, we brought our two little kids. They were 3 and 2 at the time, and they were great attractors and drew a lot of people to our family. But they've also become very much a part of our ministry. When we were planning a church, my daughter led English classes. My son ran the sound system every week. That was his job, and my wife did other ministries. My wife has always had ministry to women. I've always been working more in the pastoral role, doing pastoral types of duties, preaching and teaching and leading Bible studies.
I don't have a specific ministry, although I'm starting to be very involved in working at trying to develop some materials for missionary wives and especially for Japanese pastors' wives so that they can get further training and encouragement. It's a very hard country. It's a very lonely place for a pastor's wife, and many of them struggle with depression and discouragement. And so I want to have a place that they can be encouraging. They can get that encouragement from each other. One of the things we're hoping to do with our home is have it be a sanctuary where women can come to take that step back from the pressures of ministry and be able to just relax, spend time with God in prayer, have someone come alongside and mentor them in spiritual formation, pray with them and encourage them. And so we're looking forward to what God has in the future.
Probably the most exciting ministry we've had together as a family is CPI. Whenever it rolls around, everybody knows that our front entrance of our house is going to be full of all kinds of stuff that has to be shipped there, but everybody becomes part of it. And if you're in Japan when the CPI is on, everyone knows it's a family business you go with. So our family has always been very intimately related, not only to each other, but also to the ministry why God has called us here.